safe place. I hope you are doing okay, and I hope this little video helps in any way that you need. If you've joined me on other videos, you'll know that we've gone through not only Marilyn Monroe books, but also these glorious picture-goer magazines. And we started in July 1956, and you'll find the video to this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one on my channel. And we're moving from 1954 into 1956 today. This picture go out November the 10th. So let's have a little flick through and see what's in this edition. Again, I know I said it in other videos, but I love the paper feel of these magazines. No gloss, almost just like newspapers. I'm literally just going to adjust the camera to include a little bit more, so please bear with. Up we go. Up we go. These beautiful old-fashioned adverts. Oh my goodness, what a iconic film with Yul Brynner. If you haven't seen Yul Brynner, see him in The King and I, now on London release. Oh, Deborah Kerr. God, this reminds me of my childhood. Easter times, bank holidays, something like that. What about The Frenchmen? These children, the fusses are made about the French actresses, but not so much about the men. Gerard Philippe was a hit in The Knave of Hearts. Happy Holiday. My vote for the most infectious smile on the screen goes to Judy Holiday's. Every time I pass a poster of her, I can't help grinning back. Ryvita. What a glamorous advert for Ryvita biscuits. Can you all figure face the camera? Who's the sizzling star? Placing, not sure, of key cult. Price should go wait for it. Out on parade next week releases. Beyond reasonable doubt, The Mountain, Burning Hills. Back from Eternity, Algorithm. I don't recognise those films. Spencer Tracy and Robert Wagner in the film The Mountain. Seems to be quite a... I think it was written here, wasn't it? The Mountain. What was that, yeah? Magnificent alpine scenery in vista vision and tricky mountains, climbing fields dwarf a stale plot, oh dear, of love and loyalty that is strictly Hollywood. Rugged going for Robert Wagner, and even Spencer Tracy's grip isn't too firm, but see it for the scenery. Okay, good to know. Sunsilk cream. There are big white hopes. Goodness. How things are written back then. First meet the reluctant star. Skip to that. She's the minx with the jinx, says Dirk Bogart. Bridget Bardot. Oh my goodness. Certainly an icon, more so when she became blonde. Dirk Bogart frowned when I mentioned Bridget Bardot. Too beautiful for Britain, he sighed between shots on his new film Doctor at Large. Dr. Dirk turned a clinical eye on the sex appeal of the young French dazzler who was making the boys boggle. She wasn't unknown when she starred with him in Doctor at Sea. Now she's dwarfing all corners in the pin-up parade. Bogart screwed up his eyes and remembered her first impact. She was like a breath of Oklahoma, and the set every day, the kind of sex she suggests is warm, uninhibited, completely natural. Goodness. With her superb figure, long legs and flowing hair, she has a gazelle-like grace. The effect, pure enchantment. Then he grinned, but don't just take my word for it. There's the crew. On set one day came one of Britain's biggest glamour stars. She wore matador pants, a tight sweater, a ton of makeup, the lot. A knockout, hardly. The boys never gave her a glance. Brigitte had all of them bowled them over. He shook his head. But what's the use? A girl with a jinx, I suggested. True, he replied. And what are the chances in Britain? Even without a French accent, Brigitte would be too much for British studios to handle. When I mentioned the British brand of sex, Bogart groaned. Brussels sprouts and porridge, he snorted. Oh, that's rude. Oh, I liked you before that, Bogart. When they try to copy the foreign girls, they're just clowns. With their dyed hair, false bosoms and phony allure, they're affected frankly comical. Oh goodness. You see, Brigitte takes the trouble to put across sex as an art. With many of our girls, it's a farce. After dissecting Britain's glamour problem, Bogart went back to being a doctor at large. Hadn't been a last word of hope for the home team. Yes, he winked. Tell them to leave off those frightful bony foundation garments. Catch Brigitte wearing one of those. He rubbed his chest and winked. It's cruelty to co-stars. Oh my goodness. Well, Mr. Bogart. reason, no low-voltage sizzler herself took time off between TV rehearsals to put me right in the picture about the glamour battle. The British peaches and cream look she believes has gone sour on picturegoers. That type has had its day, she stormed. And what a washout with British and foreign picturegoer these typically English girls have been. Now give the other girls a chance. Her eyes with a gleam of Mediterranean sun blinked hard and her Italian gold earrings jangled. I got the message. Oh, well, us British are getting a little bit of a backlash in this issue. Then as I recall, in one of the previous copies of these a few videos ago, Elvis Presley was getting a severe backlash. He's back, but first let's see what has he been up to. Who's that? Donovan Pelty reporting from Gracious Common. Okay. Robert Shafter. Who have we got here? There's last time on the Hollywood Beach report. And Grace Kelly. Yeah. And Bill knows all the stars. So Biff those. Why you're getting a bad name. A dozen young lads stand around, uncertain but threatening. They jeer, they chant, rock, rock, rock. They peer through the dim light, looking for the darting glint of trouble. They're just too scared to start for themselves. Carve up, they begin to yell. This is about the rock and roll, isn't it? It's a familiar situation. It might be at a local dance hall or with variations in just outside cinemas where that, I love the way it's in italics, that rock and roll film is showing. It's a situation that with the merest encouragement or exaggeration makes a sensational headline in a daily something or other. I've heard lots of teenagers and 20-year-olds, fans of rock and roll and other modern music tempos, complain that they're being unfairly condemned because of those headline stories. We're not to blame, they claim. So who is? Take the experienced photographer Alan Newton, and I had a Britain's first jazz festival weekend. Getting on for 1,000 youngsters took over the chalet terraces that surround the giant Butlins neon sign at Clacton in Essex. It was, in its way, an experiment, and believe me, it showed just how easy it was for you to pop fans to get a bad name. It all depends on whether little groups at hotheads, devil bent on stirring trouble, are persuasive enough to get the majority on their side. Usually, honours go to the level-headed majority. Sometimes the hotheads get their way. That's when the headlines sizzle. Oh gosh, all to do with rock and roll. That bomber shows conflict, so there's much more fun at the festival than the old hometowns. Just glancing through. Valerie Madre, for instance, she's 18, lives at Langley in Buckinghamshire, works as a secretary in an important West End theatrical agency. She's a blonde, very attractive, speaks well. Daddy used to be a jazz fan, she told me, but now he disapproves of this. He says it's only for teddy boys. She looked around, couldn't see a teddy boy anywhere. Her friend Maureen Sansom, 21, a Soho clerk, said her folks never seemed to have heard of these things. scared by the stories of rock and roll riots, had given strict instructions that the girls should stay clear of them. The parents needn't have worried. The girls enjoyed themselves quite amply on the dance floor, and that's the point. Pop music fans, rock and roll rollers, and the Caps, they're just high-spirited, energetic youngsters who can't resist that music beat. The built-up Hollywood style. Absolutely pouring outside the window behind me, so hopefully that is not interfering too much with the sound. I know the sound of rain is nice, but screams at this invasion. Where are we? Air hostesses screamed and ran into the airport buildings. Passengers dropped their baggage. With their baggage and stared for German fighter plane. It looked for a pilot who was leading spotted the village in the mountains and motorist. A film with Marius Goring and Dirk Bogarde has terrorised the south of France. Goodness me. Do you want peck like this? The burning hills. Oh, these words dominated his career. You're no singer, you're Presley. The incredible Elvis Presley, Part 3. Wherever Presley goes, wild-eyed girls surge around him, and sometimes he gets badly mauled. Shortly after his fantastic appearance at San Diego, where the riot squad came to his rescue, something happened that made Elvis Presley think carefully. He had cut a few discs for RCA Victor, to which he was under contract. He had given the record everything, but there was something about it he did not like. A few days later, a friend joined him at breakfast in his hotel. I heard your disc, he told Presley. I know what's wrong. Presley looked at him hard. Tell me. The friend gulped his coffee and blurted out, You're not trying to be a singer. That's wrong. You're not a singer. You're Elvis Presley. Presley has never forgotten those words, and of course they were true. It was the Presley personality that fascinated his fans, never his voice. After that valuable lesson, he stopped trying to improve his voice. I realised, he said, that I couldn't match the other singing giants of their own ground, but I did have something to offer that they didn't. That was the understatement of the decade. After San Diego, the Presley fan mail inscribed Huddersfield Presley fan club sprang up everywhere. Whenever he appeared on the street, he was besieged by wild-eyed girls. Sometimes he got badly mauled. A girl took a dive at me and clawed me down my back, he said. It stung pretty bad for a while. Of course, it would be absurd to pretend that Presley did not enjoy his popularity. He was suddenly rich and earning around £3,000 a week. He was famous. He had 4 Cadillacs. Suddenly he was no longer a barnstorming oddity, but a teenager's hero. The undisputed king of rock and roll. I like my popularity very much, Presley confesses, though I could never get used to women wanting to kiss me. Reported one girl after disappointing embrace Presley was kissing a lot better in Topeka. Walter Winchell in New York commented, Presley has stolen the thunder from Johnny Ray and Co. He's the hottest thing to hit the teen urge set. He was still under 21, yet his records were accounting for half of RCA, Victor's sales, and the pop field. Whenever he could, Presley chartered planes to fly home to his parents, Vernon and Gladys Presley. He showered them with presents, gave them a Cadillac each, and then he decided to build them a magnificent home. Today, Memphis people, to whom Presley is already a legend, will tell you, you got to give credit to the first thing he did after he hit the big time was to buy his folks a nice home. The house is a sage green, white trimmed ranch-style building in a fashionable section. There is a large green lawn in front, a terrace, a swimming pool at the back. Whenever possible, Presley would spend time there. This was not often. He was a national sensation and the people wanted to see him. He embarked on a full-scale tour of the country. He went to Hollywood, where the producer, Al Wallace, gave him a screen test and then signed him. Sometimes he would spend only a few hours in a town, sometimes a day, sometimes a week. The critics sneered. During all the time, there was something that worried his advisors a good deal, though they wouldn't admit it. Since his first appearance, the newspapers had been unanimously hostile, well, they had from the other magazine that we read. Whenever he played, the critics lashed at him, sneering at his voice, deriding his gyrations. Wrote one, Presley offers proof positive. What burlesque needed all these years to keep itself from expiring was a male stripteaser. They hated him, and after his TV appearance with Milton Berle, the full storm burst. Never before had he seen such abuse being hurled at a public figure. Jane Russell, with sideboards, lampooned a Hollywood critic, a male burlesque dancer jeered a New York columnist. The critics couldn't understand the teenagers' devotion to Presley, and they were not sure they wanted to. Most of them were middle-aged men, up at a highbrow in their musical tastes, and the music such as Presley made was, to them, nothing but a joke. Presley, rightly or wrongly, ignored the critics. He was interested only in the response from his audiences, and the more they shrieked and squealed, the happier he was. One of his advisors, Colonel Parker, urged him to cut down on the wriggling, but it was no good, says Parker. Presley just doesn't think he's going over unless they're ripping the place apart, so he goes on wriggling until they do. It's as simple as that. Presley couldn't believe that some people just wanted to sit still in the audience and enjoy singing, so he went on wriggling, and the critics went on sniping. Jack O'Brien of the New York Journal American delivered the hardest punishment. Oh goodness, he can't sing a lick, makes up for vocal shortcomings with the weirdest and plainly planned suggestive animation short of an Aborigines mating dance. Oh goodness. Wrote Ben Cross, popular music has been sinking in this country for some years. Now it has reached its lowest depths in the grunt and groin antics of one Elvis Presley. Oh my goodness. His stage antics, well, they were entitled to their opinions, though not all of them were valid. For let's face it was not Elvis Presley's pelvis wriggling that made Heartbreak Hotel a runaway bestseller, and his popularity here in Britain has nothing to do with his stage antics, for never have they been seen, said a New York psychologist to whom I talked. There's nothing remarkable about Presley's antics. He's merely expressing himself, as a musician expresses himself with his instrument. I told Presley this. That's right, he said. That's exactly right. How did he feel about the beating he took from the critics? I don't like it, he said, but I'm getting used to it, and there's nothing I can do about it. Yet I can tell you this. Every word, good or bad, printed about him is kept in a monster scrapbook. His parents keep it for him. But there was some consolation for Presley. Every time the critics sniped, the fan mail increased. Girls, it seemed, had to see him, tall, rangy, with a shock of wavy dark hair, continually falling in front of his hazel eyes only once, and they were gone. The passionate love letters he began to receive would have turned to late Valentino green with envy. "I am your adoring slave," wrote one beautiful girl from Texas. "I crawl over 3 miles of broken glass in the rain and snow to polish your shoes with my cheeks." Oh my word. And how did Presley react to all of this? Well, he smiles. "I liked it. Though, of course, I never took any of the girls up on their offers. Maybe that's just as well. Considering some of the more inappropriate offers, it is just as well. Presley has, of course, an eye for the pretty face, like any healthy young man of his age, but he plays the field." Says Presley, "I've known lots of girls, but mostly we were friendly because they happened to be fun, not because there was any romance." So, what about marriage? "Well, I want to get married one day, of course," says Presley, "but it's just something you can sit down and plan. It just happens to you." So as his success went on mounting, Presley went on playing the field and meeting, facing sterner tests. Most of the spots he'd played so far had been pushovers, jammed tight with screaming teenagers already sold on Presley before they'd even seen him. How would it go down with a more sophisticated audience? Colonel Parker determined. Juicy had booked him into the new Frontier Hotel at Las Vegas. Presley was to get £8,000 for 2 weeks' work. He was excited at the prospect. What he didn't know then was that he was going to be a near flop. Oh my goodness. Next week, Las Vegas gives him the cold shoulder. Is he a millionaire? His new picture and prospects. Goodness, so that's November the 10th. I have November the 17th, so we can continue with that one. I've actually jumped the gun date there, but yes, we'll definitely continue the story on Elvis. How fascinating. It really is incredibly fascinating. Out of doors, diner doors. The incredible saga of Jimmy Dean goes on and on. Every bookstall in America has a dozen life stories of Dean on its racks, and most of them have sold more than 1 million. Every record shop has discs of Dean's voice and excerpts from his films. How long will it go on? Well, a lot of people say it will end when Dean's last picture, Giant, is shown. Well, goodness me again. They blame the studios for starting the snowball. Remember when Dean died, his second film, Rebel Without a Cause, had not been seen. It was important to his studio that interest in Dean should not flag, so it embarked on an extensive publicity campaign. Of course, of that no one had any idea of the fantastic proportions the snowball would assume. Obviously the studio is now very happy about the whole thing, for Dean's picture Giant is certain to be a box office sensation. And don't underestimate Hollywood. Those carefully planted rumours Dean isn't dead, is hiding away, terribly disfigured, came from the film city. Oh my word. Americans are geniuses when it comes to publicity. And if you don't believe me, answer this question honestly. Aren't you more interested in Dean today than you were when he was alive? In Hollywood, there are lots of people who honestly believe that Dean might still be alive if he'd married Pierre and Shelley. He loved her desperately, and there is no doubt that he would have quieted down had they married. When Pierre married Victor Moan, Dean hid in the parking lot across from the church managed to watch them leave after the ceremony. He was in tears, and after that his behaviour became more and more reckless. He defied everyone and everything, and then he died. Oh my word. Somebody's written in, by the way, I'm sure this must prove something. Elvis Presley stood absolutely still in Schwab's drugstore buying a comb, and nobody recognised him.